Okie dokie, guys. I think that we are ready to go here. Turn that down. Okay. So, welcome tonight to our live stream. This is part 2 of wood burning an expressive portrait. So, I hope everybody had a really nice week. Hope you guys are staying warm. I know it's pretty cold all across the country right now, so stay warm. I hope that you were able to get some burning done or something fun that you guys like to do. Excuse me. So, let's see here. Hi, Night Owl. Hi, Mellow Yellow. Hi, Steve. We're doing well. Thank you. Well, a little bit sneezy, but other than that, I'm fine. Hi, Laura. Hi, Desiree. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Mina. Let's see. Hi, Lori Lee. Ah, you've been working on your snow globe. That's great. Let's see. Hi, Michelle. Thanks, Night Owl. My daughter was playing with Pepper a little bit ago, and I think it kind of got to me. Okay, so hi, Robin. Hi, Rhonda. So glad to have everybody here tonight. Welcome to the new people here. So glad that you can make it. Okay, so last week we started off by doing some kind of a little bit of rough sketches, kind of is how I think of it. Hold on. It's like really... There we go. My camera was dirty. So what we focused on last week was laying in some of the basic outlines in the darker areas of the eyes, nose, and the mouth. I call it just kind of like a little bit of rough sketching because there's a lot more to go. There's a lot more smoothing out, blending, and all that we can do. I think at this point, I will probably go ahead and put in the jawline around her face. I think that will really help to capture the structure of the face and the shape of the face and give us something to build off of as we move forward. Once I put that in place, I might go back and just kind of touch up and darken some of the areas that we've already burned. I really like to push those darks a little bit more, and that gives me some a little bit of room shading wise to build up some more of those layers. So that I do believe is our plan for tonight. Hi Terry. Hi Estella. Okay, so my burner is on and it's on high. I'm using the Walnut Hollow Creative Versatool again tonight. That is not cooperating. We'll try that. Okay. And I am going to set my camera so it doesn't get out of focus. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. Alrighty, so we're going to just burn around that jaw. Remember that the hair in the background is all pretty blurry, so you don't have to worry about too much detail here. We're going to put in more softer edges than hard edges. All right. Now, I don't need to worry about sanding this line down here because it's not going to be all that visible once we burn the shading around the face. But I still like to start out a little bit lighter. You can always go darker. And we just want to take a more cautious approach to portraits. Because one wrong move with a portrait and it gets kind kind of hard to fix. Because portraits are very precise. This is definitely a more advanced subject matter, but a lot of people have been wanting to do portraits, so here we are. Hi, Cap Sarah. Thanks, Mina. Yeah, go ahead and click like and subscribe so you don't miss out when we go live again. Okay. And we have a little bit of hair that comes across, and then we carry back over up here. Okay. Hi, Larry. Let's see. Night Owl, you tried to become a member today on Mighty Networks. Thank you. But you couldn't figure out what you're doing wrong. You're using an app on your phone. Gotcha. Yeah, I find generally whenever I try to do something new that I like to use just my computer. It seems to work a little bit easier for me. Okay, so now I'm going to come back over this, darken it up a bit. Thanks, Mina. Yeah, send us a message and we can help walk you through that sign-up process. Okay. And let's see. I'm going to just pull down a little bit of the darker areas here. This is way too light for right now, but that is just fine. We can darken things up as we go with lots of layers. I just want something here to kind of define her face shape. Okay. All right, let's take another go here at the eyes, and I'm going to darken up some of the areas that we've already. Hey, that works for me. Not for you though. Yoink. There we go. I just need, well, it's still not gonna work. The glares are one of the most challenging things for me while filming. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Okay, I'll just get that kind of out of here. Sorry guys, massive technical difficulties here. I don't think it's gonna help. Okay, I'll try to still stay out of your area. So we are going to slowly rework these eyes. I want to really push my darks. And when I say push my darks, I mean just make the values darker. I don't mean physically pressing down into the wood. You still want to use a very light pressure. You don't want to press down really hard. Just let the burner do the work. I just want my values to be a bit darker. And like we've talked about and shown in the past, that I think that this is where the magic happens when you really start pushing those darks. It'll make things pop and really stand out. Hi, TH. We are just kind of doing some reworking here and pushing our darks a little darker. I like to do this before we move on because it will make the blending and the value changes with everything else a little bit easier, so I don't have to rework everything. You want to bring these darks along with you, I think, more early on. Let's see, question. Oh. Mina's just saying hi to everybody there. Awesome. And I'm going to darken the center of the eye and then hit some of the gradients here at the top of the eye some more. And you should see here in a little bit the difference between this eye that I'm reworking and the other one to give you a little bit of idea, a visual as far as how it changes the burning quite a bit to just go back and rework some of these darker areas. And if I don't talk a whole bunch right now, it's because I'm trying not to mess up. Hi, Cynthia. Okay. Let's make these eyelashes a bit darker too. And it may seem a little bit monotonous to reburn an area again or again and again, but I really think that that's where that magic happens, and you can kind of play with your values, rework some details, add some more details there, and just really expand on what you've already created. Lisa is asking, would you work in sections like this if it was a commission piece, or do the eyes all at once before moving on to the other parts? I would say if it was a commission, I would still probably follow the same path as what I've shown you guys here. I want to make sure that I get the basics down of the main features, the eyes, nose, and mouth. Ears, you know, her ears are kind of fuzzy. That's not a big deal right now. But you want to get, I think, a good start on each of the base features before you spend too much time reworking like this. Once I know that I haven't really messed up the eyes, like I didn't draw them completely round, if there's like misshapen, or if my piece of wood is not the best quality, I can tell that pretty quickly. So I will get those base features started, make sure I'm happy with how it's looking, and then I'll go back in and do what I'm doing now and touch things up, push things darker, and really make that portrait really start to come alive. Gotcha. Okay. Larry, we do have a wonderful community here. Laura says you can already see the difference in the eyes. Yeah, and that we'll just keep building off on that. Alrighty. And remember when I shaded the whites of the eyes and we thought, oh gosh, that's going to be way too dark? Well, it's looking actually fairly decent right now. Okay, so this one already has a lot more depth to it. We're going to continue working on that. She's looking slightly downward, so there's not much space between her eyebrows and her eyelashes. But this area in between there will also be quite dark. Okay, so I'm going to add some mid shading in between those eyelashes and the eyebrow. She does have a very dramatic look. Again, when you're pushing values in this stage where we have unburned wood around her eyes, it may seem like I'm going way too dark, but I think just bear with me here, guys. It should all balance out. If I go dark enough on the eyes now, then I don't have to come back and keep pushing them a little darker and a little darker and a little darker. I try to jump in a little faster than I used to be. I used to go really slow with everything and build up the values again and again and again and again, and rework it so many times. So I'm trying to kind of be more aggressive, I guess you could say, on that. Night Owl says, how much different does a wood burning have to be not be considered copyrighted? I'll start off by saying I am not a copyright lawyer. If you have any specific copyright questions, I'm happy to give you my thoughts, but I'm not a lawyer. Talk to a lawyer if you want more detailed information. Hi, Christy. I will also say that I've looked into that, and it varies. Your artwork must be considerably different from the original, meaning you have to add stuff in, you can take stuff away, as far as whether it's 50% different or 80% different. That's all some legal stuff that you probably ought to look into. There's some great information online as well that will help to answer that question. That's a little bit of a tricky question for me to answer right now. So, but yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mina, for that reminder. All of my patterns and projects that are on Wood Burning University are copyright free. So if you're looking for something specific, you can reach out, and I can help you develop something that is copyright free. But play it safe. You don't want to get yourself into trouble. And everything that I create, I allow people to use. So, okay, so that's looking a lot better. Steve says we're a community of pyromaniacs. Awesome. Yep. Thanks, Christy. Yep, got a little bit of a haircut last week. All right, so look at the difference already between these eyes. That one has a lot more depth and dimension to it, where this one is just getting started. So by going back and reworking your key features, I think it's so important. So now I'm going to do the same thing over here and see if I can't get both of the eyes to look fairly similar. That's the tricky part, guys, like we talked about last week, is being able to duplicate the eyes. Okay, so going back over this, I hope I'm out of the frame with my head. Sorry guys if I'm not. But I'm trying to avoid, I'm like completely out of this frame here too. There you I'm trying to avoid the glare and the camera and still get close enough to do this detailed work. But nice light pressure, go back over very carefully and try to darken up these areas again. And if I need to zoom in, give me a holler. You might notice that the eyelashes, I create them with varying lengths. I don't want them all to be the same length because it will look a little bit flat and unnatural. So vary the lengths of your eyelashes. Thanks, Cap Sarah. Let's see. Lisa says if you need to turn the wood, do so. It actually helps you to work upside down. Gotcha. Yeah, that would be helpful here. I'll see what I can do from this angle, but yeah, I think I'm going to need to turn the wood. Okay, I'm going to do that. Okay, let's go this way. A lot of times I'll work on eyes from every direction. Bum, bum. Let's see, Larry has a question. You've been using that flicking motion with your shader, starting in the dark area and flicking it outward. It works well. Good, very good. I'm glad that that's working out for you. Welcome, Jonathan. You're asking, is there any reason that I use a solid tip rather than a wire tip? Is it just preference? I would say yes, it's preference. I started out with a solid point burner when I first started back in, I think, 2009. And I didn't realize that there were other burners out there. I just found something at Walmart and kind of started teaching myself as I went. Beyond just preference, I find that when I use a wire tip burner, it's more difficult for me to control. The burn gets, like when you set a wire tip burner on the wood, especially if your temperature is too hot, it gets kind of a flash, it gets superheated and you get a dark spot, and then you start working and it's lighter. You lift the point off the wood, and it gets superheated again, and then you put the point on the wood and it gets hot again. So every time you put the point on the wood, it seemed like for me it was too hot. And then while I was working, it was not hot enough. So there was some inconsistencies regarding the temperature that I found with the wire tip burners that I just had a hard time kind of working through. I have challenged myself to create wood burnings with just the wire tip systems. And I can do it, but I wouldn't want to do a portrait with a wire tip because I'm not as comfortable with it. A lot of times I do wildlife projects and I can pull off. Are we back yet? I don't know. All right, guys, I think I'm back. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened, but I lost the connection. Okay. I have nothing going on. All right. Hopefully you guys can see me and hear me. Jonathan says you've been burning for 6 months and you recently changed to a wire tip but found that you had the same problem. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. That is just some irregularities there that I struggle with. I found that I also spent more time messing with the temperature dial on the wire tip burners, because every time you switch out to a new pen, or tip, your temperature can be way off depending on how thick or thin those wire points are. So I find that the solid point burners tend to carry a more even, consistent heat. And that is what I like, because I do a lot of realism, and I can't be working on a portrait and set the point down and have a big old blob like on the cheek or anything like what we're doing here. So I like the control of the solid point burner. Kind of a windy explanation, but I hope that helps. Okay, you guys can see me now? Cool. All right. So just still building up these little values here. I love this part of the project, guys. I really do. This is where the fine tuning makes everything come alive. Okay. And then I'll just blow on that solid point burner a little bit to take some heat out of the pen, the tip here. Gives me a little bit more control without actually having to turn the burner down, because I don't like monkeying with the temperature all the time. With the solid point burner, it does take longer, sometimes 5 minutes or so, to adjust the temperature, especially to get it back up to operating temp. So I kind of bounce around sometimes and work on all the darker stuff, and then work on the lighter stuff as I turn the temperature down. And with eyebrows, you can always make them bigger, but you can't really make them smaller. So a lot of my eyebrows start out too thin, and I just expand them as I go. Okay. Okay, I think this one eyebrow is still not quite dark enough. Let me work on that really quick. Oh, and while we're turned like this, I'll probably darken up the lip area too. TH, the eyes look intense. Cool, thanks. You can always go back and add in more of these eyelashes. I think that's helpful. They don't all have to be super dark. If you make some really dark and then some lighter, that will give the illusion of, some depth in there. Okay, since I'm here, I'm going to redarken. Let's see if I can't brighten that up for you. I'm going to work on this hard edge here of the lips. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I think I need to darken the eyeball. Technical terms here. See, her main eye is a little bit light on this side. Lisa, you did it the other way. You started with a wire tip and made yourself learn the Versatool. And you have specific things that you use each burner for. Yeah, and that's way cool. They each have their benefits. They each have their place, I think. I think this eyebrow is still a little bit too light, but we will keep going here. All right, that seems a little more balanced between the eyes. Okay. All right, we're getting there, guys. Okay. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Cynthia. Thanks, Tate. Okay. Let's see what I want to do next. Probably do the same thing. We're going to darken up the nose. I'm going to do all this while the burner's in the higher temp. And I want to make her like not pouting, but relax her lips. So we'll go and just take this line out a little more. And just kind of soften that up. All right. Okay. I don't have that on. So I'm bouncing around just a little bit here. Trying to see just what all else I want to darken up. Cap Sarah, if you move your head, the eyes seem to follow. Cool. And just push and pull. I'm making these dark areas kind of recede and push away from the viewer. Lighter areas will appear closer to the viewer. Let's see. you guys are talking about her expression and how fierce it is. It kind of reminds me, I used to do taekwondo all the time, and we would have to face off with each other and spar, and you had to, you know, step back into your stance, and you had to yell really loud, and you had to look really, really fierce like this. And so it kind of reminds me a lot of the days that I was sparring, except for one of my best friends. She and I would step back and spar, and of course, you know, we're supposed to look really fierce at each other, and we're yelling and all this, and we would just bust up laughing because it was just kind of fun. You couldn't do that with other people, certainly not in a tournament, but it was always fun to step back and be ferocious. But my best friend, she just such a great laugh and so much fun. But this is very similar here. Okay, so I'm pushing the darks around her eyes, and the area underneath her eyes, that light area, you can see it almost seems to bulge a little bit because we need to soften it down with just a little shading. So this is a great area where you see that light areas pull forward, dark areas push backwards. And if you have something that's in your project that seems too high or too close to the viewer, we're just going to add some soft shading over the top, and it will balance out. Like that. So you can see the difference between the two eyes. That one looks much more natural, whereas this one we have not enough shading on that lower lid, and it makes it look kind of puffy, if that makes sense. Just because an area is light doesn't mean that it needs to be really, really light. So watch your shading, watch the balance of your values. Okay. I think I'm going to stop there. Once we put in the rest of her skin tone, we'll see if I still need to make those less rounded, and we'll go from there. Okay. Let's darken this edge some more. Hello. Thanks, Night Owl. Yeah, smooth skin texture, I would say, is all about layering. Turn your burner down. Make sure you're working with a very soft, smooth point, like there's no burrs or hard, sharp edges to it, and lots of layers and light pressure. And blend, blend, blend. Let's see. I wonder. I might try to move it over a little so it's not so weird looking on the camera. Let's see what we can do here. Okay. And I will scoot over. Now you're almost looking straight down from the top. That should help. Oops. Okay. All right. So we're going to turn the wood. I'm going to keep working around this jawline. Thank you, Mina. Mina just posted something in the chat that if you're interested in joining our paid community with numerous benefits, she put a link into the description in the chat box there. Yeah, we are now hosted over on Mighty Networks instead of Patreon. And if you would like to see more of the videos that I've done, this is what, 121? Live stream number 121. So there's lots of content on the Mighty Networks platform as far as if you're looking for a specific project. We've probably done something similar to it. A lot of different skill levels. Everything there on Mighty Networks is based on skill level and organized very nicely by skill level. So it's easy to navigate. There's a great community area. You can chat. You can chat with me, other people, and request feedback. You get a little member gallery. You get discounts on the patterns over at Wood Burning University. That's always great. And you get the project pattern, whatever we're working on, you get that for free. So that's kind of a neat perk as well. Okay. Let's see what else we can do while we're here. Okay. Maybe darken up some eyebrow hairs. And here in a minute, I'm going to turn the wood again, and we will start working more on the skin tone. I will turn the burner down for that, just so that I have a lot more control over how we work. Okay. And I think I'm going to move me over there. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Mina, yes, there's polls. Sometimes I'll offer a poll so you can kind of pick and choose what, you kind of have a voice in the next project. Not always. If I run out of time, I don't get to do that. But a lot of times I have polls. You can kind of just have fun. It's a really neat site. So definitely take a look at that. Michelle, you're learning a lot from this. Awesome. Very good. That is lovely. Okay, so now let's start developing some more structure around her face and in her face. I'm going to turn the burner down to where the orange meets the red. I can show that here, right there, where the orange meets the red. That is a pretty good temperature for some of the skin tones. I'm also going to start sanding some of these guidelines for the topography zones that we put in. And my burner is just kind of cooling down a little bit while I'm doing this. I will also try to frame in the top part of her face, put in some of the wispy hairs. I want to create a nice frame around her face before we dive into everything here. But if you feel like you have a good grasp on the eyes and then the main features, then I would say, personally, I would start expanding around and working on some of the other areas. So these are those nice little sanding pads by M-Jump. If you've been here for a while, you've seen me use these. They have different grits. I was using a 1500 grit, and it was taking my guidelines almost away too much, so I switched to a finer grit, 2500. These are available on my Amazon store, and a lot of other great things are on the Amazon store that you see me use. My glove, the little mouse pad, my desk, and some of those things are all over on my Amazon storefront. I know Mina has that link probably on speed dial and can post that in the chat. Okay, so once I get to the point where I can just barely still see my guidelines is where I quit sanding. But if you sand them away completely, then you're going to start over kind of by burning freehand, burning by braille. Thanks, Mina, for that link to the Amazon store. It just makes it a little bit easier for you guys to find some of the tools that I use here on the live stream. Okay. Okay. So I turned my burner down. That should help quite a bit with everything moving forward. I might do some sketching really quick. Especially on a lower temp, you can sketch in some of these areas and not be afraid of making really drastic mistakes or over burning an area a lot. But if I were to be using a burner on a really high heat and I start just kind of sketching like this, if you make a mistake, then it's harder to fix later. So lower temps are definitely going to be your friend. Awesome. Yeah, Night Owl, the discount codes are over on, for the patterns, yep, Mina just said, for the patterns over on Wood Burning University, because I offer a lot of patterns. There's like 500, and lots to choose from as far as different skill levels, and they are sorted by skill level and easy to navigate. They're also copyright free. So one of the reasons that I started Wood Burning University and the patterns was I was really frustrated that there's a lot of books out there on wood burning projects and patterns, but if you look at the fine print in the book, they're all copyrighted. So you cannot create a project from somebody's book and then turn around and sell your finished piece if you want. So I thought that was kind of frustrating, especially for people that are, you know, trying to make a little hobby out of the wood burning. So all of my patterns are copyright free. I just ask that you know, don't give away the pattern, don't sell the pattern. But if you want to sell your original artwork, that is totally fine. You don't need to give me credit, but it helps spread the word for the site. Okay, so I have a little bit of framework around her face. Let's continue on building up the skin and the facial features. even after turning the burner down, I still kind of blow on the point and try to control that a little bit more. Mina, Night Owl. Yes, I do have a discount code for Walnut Hollow, so if you need wood or wood burning tools, you can go over to Walnut Hollow. My discount code over on Walnut Hollow is Minisa 15, and you get 15% off of your order. And then I get a little commission off of that. It doesn't increase your prices or anything. It just is a way to kind of, I'm partnered with Walnut Hollow. So I still want this highlight underneath the nose, but not that bright. So we'll hit it with a nice light value, tone that down. Hi, Kelly. Thank you. Thanks, Mina, for that discount code. Okay, so I'm trying to bring some of that rounded aspect of the nose and pull that up a little bit, up and around the nose. And once we get everything really kind of in place, we'll put in the lightest values of her skin and smooth everything out. That should go pretty quick, but that'll be after we lay in all the other values here. All right, how about some cheekbones here, guys? So you can see that I put in the value of the cheekbones with about 3 different layers, light, medium, and then just a little bit darker. So the multiple layers are, I think, one of the biggest tricks to creating the smooth skin texture. So here's my first layer. And layer number 2. And each layer, like we talked about last time, I'm going to offset my stroke pattern just a little bit. That also helps to create a nice smooth blended texture. Okay. Layer number 3. Okay. So we're just kind of moving around the face, putting in some of the kind of the mid-tone levels of the topography zones that we laid in during the first session. Kind of pulling that the shadow of the lip around some more. And once we really build up all of the skin values, the stuff will look much more balanced. But I tell you what, we've talked about the ugly duckling phase with all kinds of projects, and I will tell you that is one of the most difficult things when wood burning a portrait. Is it seems like there's always a lot of ugly duckling stages. you just have to keep working through them one at a time until it starts to come together. And don't burn over any fuzzies that are landed on the wood, because you can't get them off. So she has a little bit of jowls or kind of a scowl or whatever. Her face expression's kind of exaggerated. And as we keep building up those values and more topo zones, it'll all should balance out. Night Owl, you had to rivet holes at work all week. Oh dear, so your hand and wrist are too sore to wood burn this week. Gotcha. Yeah, definitely take care of your hands. Larry is asking, do you use the floor stand on your ring light? I see where they made a wall mount for it too, with a boom arm. You're thinking of getting one. So I've got the two lights right now. I have this little one. It's on a boom arm. It helps me to get a little bit more light. I really need to move my ring light to the other side of my desk, but then it's in the way of my window and I like the view. You have to be kind of careful because the ring light, the big one, is kind of top heavy. So right now I have it sandwiched in between two desks, and I keep it in place with a like a quick grip, a clamp. So yeah, I've got the two lights. Normally I don't do the two lights, but since I rearranged my room, I needed just a little bit extra. So TH, the Pro Points, I'm still trying to get that information back to Walnut Hollow. So still working on it. I find that the more you add shading to a portrait, the better it looks. Portraits that are too light, to me, tend to lack the depth and the, they're just not as interesting, the lighter ones. So the more you can just keep building up layers, and push it darker and darker, I think you'll be happier with it. You're welcome, TH. Yep. Trying to get things still moving on that. Lisa, you zippy tied your big ring light to your desk legs. Yeah, I have had zippy ties as well, and done something very similar. So the cheek bone that I shaded in is now too light. So we go back over and hit it again. Portraits are all about balance. to try to find the right balance of certain areas, balance of values. And the more layers, the easier it's going to be to blend all these zones together. Okay. But it looks really weird when you start putting in some of these topo zones. It's like, wow, that doesn't look right. But you just keep working and building around them. And once you get everything blended in, it's like, oh, wow, that actually turned out okay. Thanks, Kelly. Just lots of practice, especially with that back and forth motion. This is where the airplane mode comes in very handy. Whenever I put the burner on the wood, I'm always in motion. Come in, touch down, burn, and then lift back off of the wood. Or you can even think like a swing set where you just kind of skim towards the bottom. Either way works. Thanks, Larry. We're getting there. And everything that I'm putting in, all the shading on the face right now is too light. I can tell you that right off the bat. It's too light. But start off nice and light. Take your time. Build up your shading as you go. And that multitude of layers is going to make it just super fantastic when it comes to blending everything together. And at some point you're going to lose the guidelines, but you still have the basic areas to guide you as you go. Sometimes I really play up the topo zones like you see here with the big chunks of different values. And then once you're kind of towards the end, you can soften those out and blend them a little more so it will look natural. But I try to keep my topo zones visible until the end, and then you can blend them together for a softer look. But we're pretty much done with hard edges on the face, unless I need to touch up some areas, you know, around the nose. But the rest of her skin tone is all going to be soft edges and lots of blending, lots of layers. Thanks, Cynthia. Now you can see, I hope, why I put in this hard edge around the jawline. I can't really build a structure off of a light area. I like to have a dark area, and then I can build my shape and my form off of that. Okay. Moving on here, guys. Moving on. I know I need to darken up the cheekbone some more before I start laying in more of the skin around it. I think sometimes it's a nervous habit for me to blow on the point when doing lighter areas. It's kind of funny, but that's, I don't know, just kind of a habit. So here I'm kind of softening the topo zones just a bit. Terry, you find that when you blow on the point or hold your breath, you get lightheaded. Yeah, that's easy to do as well. Definitely need to find a balance. Yeah, no passing out while you're wood burning. That's not good. So hopefully you can see how I'm building up the layers. I kind of get it in place with a value and I build around it, and then I generally have to push my darks a little bit darker, a little bit darker. This may seem redundant. It may seem like it takes a long time. Wood burnings do take a long time. You could try to put in these values in 1 or 2 passes, but I think that you may not be very happy with the way it turns out. I think it's not really a secret, but I think one of the keys to smooth skin shading is just the layers and layers and layers of building up your values. And I can always go darker, but I cannot, if I mess up and I go too dark, I'm going to have to probably darken everything all over again to achieve a good balance. And, you know, that takes time as well. So I generally try to sneak up on portraits and create them very carefully with lots of layers. Okay, let's see. Yeah, and I know that is a good point. Yeah, I'm just almost like breathing in and then exhaling very slowly onto the point. Yeah. You do it too long. Yeah. That's easy to do though, for sure. Hi Frank, welcome. Thanks so much. We are making some progress here tonight. Alrighty. Sure have a very unique wood grain on this piece, and it's starting to show up a little bit here and there, which is pretty cool. Terry, you think her name should be Destiny. I like that. That's cool. Frank, you're getting your new shop set up. I'm glad that you're still with us too. Yep. Glad that you're here tonight. Warrior Wendy. That's awesome. Ah, Night Owl. Yep, gladiators never do look very glad. Okay. We're getting there. Slow and sure. Okay. So I think I am going to, can't we do that? Let's see what time it is. We have 45 minutes left. So I'm going to try, where's my thing? To block in a lot of, like, all of the skin. And then we'll go back on the face. And then we'll go back and tweak and balance it out. But if I can get the face kind of blocked in tonight, that is a win. So, and if I have more time, I'll just continue to kind of play with the values, darken things up a little bit across the face. But you know, so far so good. That's kind of my battle cry, is so far so good. Thanks, Laura. So yeah, this is where you sand your guidelines to where you can't even see them anymore. Try to keep my head out of the picture. Night Owl, you look forward to, yes, we'll wood burn the hair. The braids will be pretty fun, kind of different. Sometimes I get the glare and I completely lose my guidelines too, so. I'm gonna jump in here, guys. Never mind my head. I just need to see where this is, and then I'll scooch back. Wood burning salon. Yep. I'm trying to find my guidelines and putting in a really light kind of a placeholder here. And then I will go back, add more layers, and build these areas up in value. Thanks, TH. And that tapping that you hear when I wood burning, it's that airplane motion, just tap, 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 tap. Okay, I actually need to sand that guideline down a little more at the top. Okay. For me, I find the most time-consuming thing for portraits is just those, you know, number one, your base features. You got to get the eyes down. You got to get the nose and the mouth done. I haven't shaded on the top of the nose yet, but we'll get that done soon. But once you get those in place, and then the next big thing is working out your topo zones with the face, building up those values, and yeah. So just kind of break it down into small steps. If you've never done a portrait before, even if you get a piece of wood and just practice making eyes. You know, get an image, transfer on a bunch of eyes if you want, and just have fun playing with creating the illusion of eyes. And then same thing with nose and all that. So Terry says that Bernadette in German means strong and brave as a bear. Oh, that's cool. Hi, Linda Lou. Welcome. I am burning on basswood tonight, which is usually what I burn on. Let's see. Basswood has that really nice light blonde color to it, which is very enjoyable to burn on. Okay, so I can still see a lot of the strokes in the face, but like I said before, we will continue to add more layers until the skin is super smooth and you shouldn't be able to see those stroke marks in there very well. I'll just kind of blend right out. Going back over some of the darker areas, I am going to add some more layers, darken up the values a smidge. Bernadette would be a good name for sure, TH. So Terry, your name there starts with TM, and then I've got TH. So sometimes I'm getting you guys confused there, but I got it. Ah, that's great, Terry. Yeah, we have Bernie the bear, so this could be Bernadette. I know we like to name the projects, and that's always fun. Mellow Yellow, you have a cousin named Bernadette. She's 95 and very strong and brave. Oh, that's fantastic. Very cool. Now, where her face meets the hair up here, we want to keep really soft edges there. You don't want to be drawing in a hard line. Everything needs to be nice and soft. We want to create the illusion of form and shape with values and shading instead of harsh lines. So when we're creating beginner or intermediate, whoa, that's a tough one tonight, projects, then you can put in some more lines and that's fine. But for realism, certainly portraits, you want to try to avoid those harsh lines, especially in the face and the facial features. Okay, next round of Topo Zone coming right up. Even though I'm operating the burner kind of on the lower setting between where the orange meets the red, if that doesn't give you enough control, go ahead and turn it down a little bit more. So just kind of play around with the temp and make sure that you are operating at a temperature that you feel confident being able to use the burner and try to keep the shading smooth. Hi, Game Calls. Welcome back. Thanks so much. Hello.
Are we supposed to have 2 or 3 pizzas up here?
There's 2.
Is there a third one downstairs?
I don't think so. You're welcome to go look if you want.
Take a look.
Okay.
I got 2, might as well cook 3.
Well, yeah, I know that we have the 2. I'm not sure if we have another one downstairs. Okay. dog is snoring pretty good. Oh, Terry, you're going to be changing your name. Oh, okay. Thanks for the update. Okay, going back over, darkening up some of our darker areas, pushing those values some more, adding more layers. Sometimes I get sidetracked. All right, back up here. So I find that this part does take quite a bit of concentration just to make sure that you're in the right zones. Yeah, I'm not sure, so he's gonna go take a look. Okay, so there's our topo zones kind of in the forehead area. Now we're gonna go over it with a nice layer of shading to soften everything. Nice light value. And these longer strokes are going to be much lighter also, and you'll have a little bit more control with the longer strokes. It's the smaller strokes that are really close together that tend to be darker. So even if your point is kind of turned down, sometimes you can turn it down too much when doing these long sweeping strokes. Okay. Hi, Zona. Welcome. Glad that you're here. Hope you're having a great week. Any luck?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Worth a look.
Yeah, thanks for checking. Okay, so we're off to a good start here. It's 7:30. I have 30 minutes, so I think I'm going to continue playing around with just reworking the topo zones, pushing our values darker. I know in the past I've talked about having printouts of different values. Like you take the same reference photo that we're working with, and you create a really light version and then a darker version. That can really help with portraits as far as to see in a really light area. There's information in there in the photograph, and so you can just kind of adjust the values and see that. So that is helpful. And a lot of times I like to do that. So maybe I'll print out another version for next week. And it allows me just to see more details and kind of push my values darker. Okay, let's see. This needs some more here. So this cheek is a little bit flat. I want to make it more rounded. So to make something rounded, we need dark on either edge and light in the middle. Good night, Cynthia. Thanks for being here tonight. Look forward to seeing you next week. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Cynthia. You have a great weekend too. Okay. Sometimes I get to a point where I start building up the structure of the face, and it just is taking too long to get some of the darker areas put in, and I'll turn my burner back up. Not always, but that's something that you can do. But I find this to be very peaceful, just the layer after layer of light, smooth shading. It just seems to just slowly evolve and come together. I am bouncing around a little bit here. You can try to break down a portrait into like the 5 shading scale system of the darkest value you can get would be a level 5. Darker mid-tone is a level 4. Mid-tone's a level 3. Light mid-tone is a level 2. And then the unburned wood is a level 1. So if you think about it in that terms, you can go through and put in all of the level 5s, all the dark stuff, and then move on to the dark mid-tones, the level 4s, and you can work at it that way too. So, you know, if that works for you, I know I've taught in my books how to do the 5-step shading scale for mostly wildlife, but you can use that system too if you like for portraits. I find that portraits need to be a little bit more dynamic and free-flowing, and I just sneak up on everything carefully and cautiously and bounce around quite a bit. TH, you find it peaceful too. Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Steve. So you can see I'm wood burning at all kinds of different angles here. Not so much that it's going to look like cross-hatching, but just a nice fluctuation of stroke directions to smooth everything out and make it a very soft texture. A good way to practice smooth shading like this for skin is just grab a piece of wood and just try to make just a single value, if you want, as smooth as you can. You can work on it from different angles to practice the skin texture. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Mina. Okay, I know that her lip is still kind of light, so we can work on that too. I'm adding a few more of the lines into the lip area. The top part needs to be, the top part of the bottom lip needs a little more shading. So yeah, just bouncing around, looking for anything that's catching my eye right now. Thanks, TH. Mina says each layer continues to enhance the realism. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just layer after layer and just fine-tuning, massaging it, blending it, until you kind of come to a happy, you know, place to stop. Because it'll never be done. We just need to find a good place to stop. Which for this picture, it's going to be a while. We're getting there, though. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, next up is going to be some more shading on the underside of the lower lip. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I look at something for too long, it like no longer looks like it's supposed to. I don't know if that makes sense. If you stare at a word long enough, it's like you forget to see how it's supposed to be. Sometimes I can get that way with wood burnings too, or you focus on a certain area so long, it's like, oh, you need a break and you need to kind of step away from it. You get so involved in the minutia and the details of an area, it starts to look kind of weird. And I think you can overwork an area sometimes. So if you find that you're struggling with a certain area, give it a minute, take a break, work on something else. That's why I do like to bounce around, you know, from time to time, and work on different areas, because it's easy to overwork an area, and your eyes just kind of start seeing things that aren't there or things that should be there. And I don't know. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if you guys have seen where you just stare at something too long and it starts looking kind of weird. It's a good time to hop up and stretch your legs, take a break, and either work on a different part of the burning or a different burning itself. Night Owl says this would have taken me a lot longer to burn. Terry says this would take me 3 to 4 months to do. You're very slow. You'd still be on the one eye. Yeah. Mina, you relate? Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It takes time, and everybody works at different speeds. This generally would have taken me a lot longer, but once I started teaching on camera, I've kind of gotten to where I have to go a little bit faster, and I can't be quite as cautious as I used to be. So just to keep things moving along, I've forced myself to start working faster. L says, yeah, mental strain, eye strain, absolutely. It's good to take a break. Game calls, you get it as well. You have to step away. Yeah. You too, Terry. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So I think a lot of the values on her face are maybe too light, especially the darker areas need to be touched up and pushed a little bit darker. But right now, my main focus is kind of on the blending and making it look natural and soft and smooth. I can always go back and darken up some of these areas. I know her cheekbones are too light, but I'm really starting to get happy with some of my lighter midtones. And then I can go back and start reworking the midtones and the darker midtones a little bit as I see fit. Terry says if you squint, it looks totally different. Thanks. Oh, yeah, it helps if I get back away from it. If I look up at the monitor, it helps me to almost step like across the room and get a different view. But holy cow, guys, did we make a lot of progress on this picture tonight from where we started. And that's the cool thing about it being online is you can just like zip back and kind of go back and forth through the footage and see how it was when we started. Night Owl, you're burning faster too after watching the live streams. Cool, yeah. Zona's saying, does anyone else notice that it looks different in person versus the picture that you take? Absolutely, yeah. The camera can really change the way that it looks. It just picks up things differently. So now you can see I haven't burned the top of her nose at all. Looks like she has some sunblock on there. But I want all of the surface of her face, all of the skin to be, to have some sort of value to it, some sort of shading. I don't want anything to be unburned wood except for my whitest whites, my highlights. All of her skin should have some sort of shading to it. That's just kind of how I like to approach portraits. You don't have to do that, but I think it gives so much more depth and dimension to the skin and the structure of her face if you go darker. That's one of the things that I did as I was a beginning artist and trying portraits for the first time. I did not burn the face dark enough. And that's something that I try to do differently now. So really try to incorporate lots of values within the face. Zona says you feel like it seems better or more finished in the picture than in person. It helps you to see what it would look like to someone else and what it looks like when you post it. Cool. Yeah. Night Owl says it makes me think she has a flashlight on her face at a campfire telling ghost stories. Yep. That too. Well, I'll try to get to that nose here in the last couple minutes and apply some sort of shading for a more finished look. But you guys can see the extra time that we spent down on the face looks a little bit more finished and rounded than the upper part of her head. Her forehead, we've just barely started into getting that taken care of. Dun, dun, dun. Zona says it helps you to darken the values. You don't seem to do that enough. It's very easy to be, I think, overly cautious when it comes to wood burning. It's like we either dive right in and we put lots of heavy dark lines into our project, or we're too cautious and we don't shade enough. So finding that nice balance point is good. And sometimes it just takes time and practice. But you'll never become comfortable with burning portraits until you actually jump in there and try to burn portraits. Whether they turn out good, bad, or ugly, the most important thing is just trying it and seeing what all you can learn along the way. So if you need to break it down and just do noses, mouths, teeth, just fill a wood burning full of those, and you'll be amazed at how much that you can learn just from those little studies. So it doesn't always have to be a complete project like what I'm doing here. Just take some time and make some studies, and that is good as well. Or you can dive right in and try a full portrait, whatever you seem to want to do. Okay, well, we're getting there, guys. There's a lot more to do, but so far so good. So, do you guys have any questions here towards the end of our live stream? Schedule-wise, I will be back here again next Friday. That's the 31st. We are already looking at the end of January. But I will be here same time, same place next Friday. We'll continue to work on this portrait, and we'll see what all I want to try to accomplish. I'll probably start diving into the background, the hair, and all that, and see what all we can accomplish. Zona, you did the Rosie the Riveter. You realized after sealing it you didn't darken her face enough. You have to redo it. Ah, gotcha. Yeah. Portraits, I would say once you're done with a portrait and you're ready to stop, I would let it sit on the shelf, walk by it a few times, put it in a closet, don't look at it for a while, let it kind of ruminate, and then come back. And sometimes just a break from your project, you're like, oh my gosh, how did I not see this part or that part that needed fixed. Let's see. Hi Vicky. You just tuned in and amazed. You thought the whites of the eyes were too dark last week, and now they look almost white. Yeah, they almost look too light, huh? It's so interesting. Once you start developing values around an area, it really ties in. Thanks for being here. Game calls. Yep, we'll be here same time. Pretty much every Friday we're here. Oh, and then the first Monday of every month I do a beginner live stream too. Let's see. Zona is asking, do you ever use sandpaper or eraser to blend at the end? I try not to, because it changes like the surface of the wood, and it almost washes out some of the burned areas around where I'm trying to sand. I don't know if that makes sense. It changes the burn. It's like it's no longer the same hue of burnt wood. I can't hardly explain it, but I try not to. On the rare occasion, you know, sometimes I do overburn an area instead of trying to fix the entire face and burning everything again. You can take a little sandpaper and lift out some highlights. If you overburn an area of the highlights of the eyes, you can use an X-Acto knife, an awl, anything sharp and pointy to kind of pick out some of those highlights. I just try to be gentle with the wood and not damage the wood, but yes, you can use sandpaper to pull out some highlights. If I ever use colored pencils on a portrait, it'll be either to add color to the eyes and or just some white highlights here and there. And you'd be amazed at how just a touch of colored pencil, like on the cheekbones or the tip of the nose there, can really add a neat element to it. Let's see. Mina said the dark area on the right cheekbone is almost now completely blended. At first it seemed too dark. Yeah, it's so cool to watch it come to life, and that's why I like to put it in place, adjust it, put it in place, adjust it, and you just keep fine-tuning it. Thanks, Mina, so much for being here. Thanks for all your help. Zona, you look forward to trying this piece. Awesome. Thanks, Cap Sarah. Thanks, Steve. Have a great week. Good night, Night Owl. Have a safe weekend, everybody. Stay warm. Thanks for being here, Terry. Have a great night. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, TH. Thanks, Game Calls. Thanks, Mellow Yellow. You too. Have a great rest of your week. Okay, so I think we're kind of at a point here, guys. I might zoom out because sometimes that gives us a different viewpoint on everything. Wow, seems like her eyes might still not be dark enough, but we'll take a look at it next week. So, a lot of fun. Cool. All right, if you have any other questions, just shoot me an email. It's back up in the chat there. And everybody, have a great week. I'll see you next Friday. Bye.